Hello folks, welcome back to VCV Rack Instruments and Effects. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. In this episode, you can hear it right now, we're going to make cricket sounds. We're going to synthesize our own cricket sounds, and since VCV Rack is free software, unless you buy the premium edition, all of the sounds and the modules that we're going to use in this episode are of the free variety. So if you have Windows, Mac, or Linux, you can download VCV Rack, download these libraries, and make these sounds yourself. Not only will I show you how to make the sound you hear right now, but I will point out things along the way about how you can customize it or expand on it and things like that. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so here we are. I am going to make sure this one is saved, and I am going to immediately call up a new blank project here so we can build this together. I think it's the best way to learn, and you'll also see different options of how you can vary the sound a little bit, because I'll explain just about everything I do. Okay, first module we're going to start off is we're going to use a mixer from MindMeld, the 8-channel mixer. So if you haven't downloaded that library, it's a really powerful library of modules, and this is a great 8-channel mixer. There is also a 16-channel version right down here, and we're also going to call up its aux sends, the expander that allows you to have aux sends. All right, so this is the mixer we're going to use. And then we're going to add to our mixing abilities here a little bit of something special. I haven't shown this yet in previous videos, but it's not from MindMeld. It's actually from Squinky Labs. There is a compressor that is 8 channels. Well, you'll see 8, possibly 16 channels, and it'll work great with our mixer here. And so that's something you might want to use for lots of other patches. And then also MindMeld makes a expansion that gives you equalization, a parametric equalizer on up to the 16 channels if you use the 16-channel version. And you can also equalize groups. So subgroups or buses can be equalized as well. So this takes in a lot of different channels. Okay, so let's hook a few primary things up here. Gonna zoom in. Right here is your insert outs on the mixer, and that's where you want to go from here. Channels 1 through 8 are going to go into channels 1 through 8 here. So basically, signal flow wise, audio that comes in to the left and or right inputs. If it's just mono left, it's fine. If it's stereo, it's fine too. It will make the adjustments for you. That will go right out these inserts before it goes down the channel strip. These inserts are basically sends and returns here. I know they're inserts and not aux sends, but since there are no TRS cables in VCV Rack, you do need to cable it back up. So we went in to the parametric equalizer, out from the parametric equalizer, into the Squinky Labs compressor. Squinky, S-Q-U-I-N-K-Y. And then we plug it right back in here. This is the return of the insert. So basically anything coming in through the inputs goes out. And then out of here into here, the compressor, and out of here into here. So our 8 channels can now be compressed. they can also be equalized, and we'll be using those. Incidentally, in case you're curious, this Squeaky Labs compressor does conform also to the stereo possibilities. I hooked a few things up earlier to test it out, and it worked just fine. If you're coming in, if channel 1, for example, is mono, it'll compress it mono. If it's stereo, it'll still line up here under channel 1, and it'll allow you to compress both channels. Because technically in VCV rack, all these cables are capable of carrying 16 channels. So really, there's 16 channels coming into here, but it will number them properly for you. So if 1 is mono, then 1's mono. If 2 is stereo, then you get 2 under the same compressor. And if 3 is mono, you can mix and match, no problem. And they all line up. The one thing to make sure of, and it is default, when you open it up, there is an option. Hold on here. I think, yeah, right there at the bottom of the screen, almost cut off. 1 through 8 or 9 through 16. Now, I've used this with the 16 channel version where I have 2 of these next to each other. I tried setting the 1 to 9 through 16. It didn't like it. Basically, if you have, I mean, it depends on what modules you're using it with. And basically with this mixer, if you're using the 16 channel mixer where you'll have a 9 through 16 out here and return here, you'll just have 2 of these, and you'll go from 9 through 16 here into the second one, and then out from there into 9 through 16 here. So, and then when you set it up, don't change it to 9 through 16 on the settings here. It'll get confused. Basically, 9 through 16, according to the mixer, well, it doesn't know that. It just sees them as 8 different channels. Okay, so that's enough of that. There we go. We're hooked up fine here. One other item of note, and this is something that caught me out earlier. I was trying to arrange things differently. These aux ends are wireless, so basically the channel strips don't have aux ends on them, but this expander gives them to you. So you just line up the channel number for the group with over here, and just imagine that these are on your channel strip of here, and it communicates wirelessly. You don't need to connect cables from the mixer to the aux expander here. You do connect cables to the things you're sending your auxes to, but not between this and the mixer. But earlier I set it up where it was below it, and I wasn't getting aux ends. I was like, what the heck's going on? And I just tried, what the heck, I just put it up to the right, and boom, it worked. I don't know if it, I guess we're going to test that later. It's a real easy test. Basically, you can test later whether or not the aux will work on the left side. But if it's just saying that it needs to be in the same rack level, then maybe that's the case. But actually, it's more convenient to have it on the right anyway. But we can switch it over to the left, just swap it over here real quick, see if it goes in or out. But below doesn't work, and I assume above doesn't work. You need it right next to it, otherwise it doesn't see it for some reason. Okay, we're going to hook up our main outputs here from the mixer to our audio. I use red for audio. There we go. And like I said, we don't need to connect these two in any way. There's the mixer. It ends with the main out. And here's the aux expander. Okay, so let's start making some cricket sounds now that our gear is hooked up here. I just wanted to point that out because I think this is a really cool setup. It's like real mixing where you have parametric equalizer, compressor on each channel, well, and an equalizer on each channel, and this on each of the at least individual channels. It's just awesome, you know, the possibilities, and we will employ it today, even for something as simple as cricket sounds. Okay, so let's make a VCO. I'm going to use the regular VCV VCOs. Okay. And we're going to need an LFO with that. I'm going to pop in a VCA. And I'll explain the method of my madness later, or as I go along, so you can see why I think this is the more efficient way of doing it. And then yet another LFO. Okay. So anyway, let us turn down the fader. I do recommend right now, if we're going to proceed with this, if you're going to proceed with this video, I recommend you use headphones or hear it on good speakers that are spaced apart stereo, because there's some subtleties to the sound that we're going to work on. If you're just listening in the built-in speaker on a cell phone or something like that, you're not going to hear some of the sound qualities that we're going to be crafting here. Some of them are pretty delicate. And so doing, I will be careful not to harm your hearing at all. So I'm going to come out the triangle wave output and go into the VCA here. And then we're going to control that triangle wave with a sine wave. I'll use yellow for control using the LFO. You can see it's already working there. And then we're going to hook up this audio to our channel here. All right, and then let's gradually move up the fader. There we go. Now, we're going to set this to a higher frequency. I'm going to do it by ear here at first. Okay, now we need to make this sound like crickets, you know, where they're scraping together. Is it wings, I think, or bristles on their legs? Something that, you know, gives you a bit of a amplitude modulation. And so let's speed up the LFO. You could use faster speeds for chichadas or cicadas. Let's try that. Okay, and now what we need to do is control that a little bit. So I'm going to put this into the volume CD in on the mixer. Okay, we're getting there. Now let's check this pitch. I think before I was using a magic frequency that I found, I think it was 3,400, something in that range. But I'm going to do 3,398 to do something just below that. Yeah, there we go. Pretty good. Now, we're going to do 2 more of these. I'm selecting them and I hit Control C to copy. I think it's Command C in Mac. Oh, and you just tap here to say I want to paste here. And then don't right click like I've been doing. Just hit Control V or Command V. There we go. And we're going to hook this audio output up. Well, this is the CV out actually. Hook that up first. And then the audio output is from the VCO. If any of this is confusing for you, like you haven't really watched some of my videos in the past, or you're a little bit new to synthesis or VCV rack, I do have a series, Learn Synthesis with VCV rack. There's 3 series so far. There we go. That was almost a blast. Not entirely. Now what I'm going to eventually do is initialize these and use the compressor. But let's get the third one set up. This one's going to be our left. Center. And then the next one that we're going to add is going to be right. But what I'm going to do here with this VCO is tune it. I'll put it at 3400. So this is 3398. This is 3400. Let me see. Something doesn't sound right. I don't hear this. How come that's coming out left? I guess because we don't have a right channel yet. Oh, look, the CV's on the wrong thing. There we go. I knew something wasn't right. Now what I'm going to do is add the third set of these. I think it's still in my buffer, so I can just tap here and hit Control D. Yep. All right. So we need to hook up the control, sine wave output for the controls, the actual carrier wave. The signal is a triangle. It's a little bit of harmonic color on it. But for shaping things, I'm using sine waves. Oh, let's turn down this fader just so we don't get blasted again. All right, and then we take our audio out from the VCA into here. So the thinking is to have the ridgy sound of crickets, you know, scraping their legs together or wings or whatever they scrape. That's a fast, well, it's still an LFO, but a faster amplitude modulation to make that ridgy sound. And then you need them to kind of fluctuate in and out. And so you need a slower rate on that with this LFO. I'm using the VCA so I can apply the fast one to the sound first and then the slower one afterwards. The idea is I do have a volume CV in here where I can apply the second LFO. But I did try it once where I hooked this up to the here and then put things to a group and added the second LFO on the group so that I could dispense with the VCAs, and it just didn't quite sound as good. So I'm going with the VCAs. That's my thinking on that. Alrighty, so there we go. There's a start. Now we can do a little refining. You see how I have these down? I could compress them because there are, you see, some spikes to the sound. And if we kind of even these out a little bit, it won't display here because the compressor is after the parametric EQ. And I like it that way because after the parametric EQ shapes things, then I'd like to adjust the dynamics. What we can do here, right click on this and say we're going to be on channel 1. And we'll solo it on the left hand side there. And what we're going to do is use this to just see if we want to sculpt anything in the audio spectrum. So I'm actually going to turn up the gain and just scan what we have here. All right, there we go. That's the real crickety pitch. I can't go any higher with this band. It won't let me. So I am going to use this band over here. Yeah, that has a little bit of graininess and stuff in it that it may be hard to hear because it is so high, but we don't need those. Because you see here, we don't have just one pitch. We have a few bands, interestingly enough. I guess really kind of like, it's an LFO, but it looks like sidebands are already starting to form from the amplitude modulation. So those are all good. This sounded, I think I heard a little bit of buzziness out of it, but that could cause us problems later, so I'm going to get rid of that. If I turn up the Q knob here, that enhances our thing there, but it gives me enough of a curve here to cut all these out. So that's fine with me. Let me check something here. The frequency we're at is our cutoff frequency is 9784 hertz. I want to try and match that with the other ones. But now what I can do is we're on channel 1 here on the compressor. I'm going to turn off the bypass and lower the threshold a bit until you see it come in. That's it, pushing down the sound a bit. Let's make the attack time as fast as possible. In fact, what I'm going to do is put it down like that and then put these at unity. And what that's doing is, you don't see it here, but a compressor, is doing it across the spectrum. So it's kind of attenuating these and making these a little bit more even. And if you hear that, it sounds a little bit more realistic. So I'm going to try and duplicate that with the other two channels here. And that was, no, that's the dB. I can copy and paste. So let's go over here to channel 2. Oh, what the hell did I do? Okay, channel 2. Right click on this. Paste the value in. Control V. Command V and back. All right, but we need to also put the same amount of attenuation. I want them to sound pretty much the same, so I'm going to copy and paste that too. And I'll probably have to copy and paste that as well. If you want them to be the same, because oh my goodness, why does it do that? 2. All right. And then we're going to paste you in. Now this Q needs to be adjusted. That's the thing that's off. And it's dulling the sound a bit too much. Any dulling like that is attenuation that we could do at the fader or the compressor. Hold on, wrong one. There we go. Paste the value in. Now that ain't the same. Now I know this is like 2 hertz higher, but this is the frequency here. Go to 1. I must have copied from the wrong thing. Two. There we go. Yep. Now let's hear them together. Now we're also going to want to attenuate this one similarly. Oh, I moved the wrong one. Well, let's copy this. And then here we can right click again, type in channel 2, go to our channel 2. First thing, turn off bypass and lower the threshold. That's close, but we copy and paste. So Now this is panned all the way left, so that's why it sounds a little bit louder. This one that's panned right will balance it out in a moment. Let's copy values again. We're going to go to channel 3. I didn't unmute it yet, but I will. No time like the present. Oh, also this fader. I'm not going to put this one up yet because I didn't compensate with the compressor yet. And I do want to do that because it dynamically evens these out with the sidebands a little bit more. And the sidebands really make it sound more realistic. Yeah, this is all the way down, so I don't need to copy and paste that. Just this. Okay. Channel 3. This is cool. I love this mixer with these things. This is from Squinky Labs here. It's funny that MindMeld didn't have one, so it's great that it works with it just fine. Turning it down. Looks about right. Now I am going to attenuate. Oh, I did it again. I adjusted the wrong one. But visually that looks about the same. I could copy and paste values, but... Oh yeah, and the attack time I didn't turn all the way. They're looking pretty even. So now we go here to channel 3. Turn off the bypass. Attack time all the way down. And rather than copy and paste, I'll eyeball it. Okay, and then I can put you back to the initial position. All right. Now, yes, this does sound a little bit intense. And it would benefit from a reduction, which I could do at the fader level here. In fact, I'm going to reduce the center even more than the outside edges. Minus 6 dB here. And you, minus 12. All right, sounds pretty good. Now, if you don't like the regularity, the regular, rip, exactly the same each time, we can adjust that by putting an LFO on this LFO so its speed isn't always the same, because its rate is what gives us the regular intervallic reoccurrence of the scraping. So let's do this. I'm going to set you to a low value, and like with my wave sounds, 0.043, something like that. And we hook it up to, I already hooked it up, and then this we need to just turn down a little bit. You hear it's already starting to get a little bit out of sync with the other one. So now what we can do is maybe do that to the leftmost one, which is right here, is its LFO that we can put another LFO on. So I'm going to select by shift clicking all of these. Let's zoom out. And let's slide these puppies over. And I will be adding these to my sounds for relaxation, meditation, and sleep series. I've been making series that involves, like I was doing ocean waves. Maybe now it's time to do some nighttime crickets. This regularity of pulse with a little bit of variation sounds more natural. Oh, I just keep it like this. And at the same time, that regularity really helps things. And I detuned the pitches on the outsides, the left and the right, such that they're 4 hertz apart. That might cause a little bit of binaural beating. I don't know. I don't think so, not at their frequencies. But all right, where do we have two LFOs together? I was going to do the left one. Here it is. LFO on an LFO. Oh, wrong output. Wait a minute. All right, something's not right here. We got a VCO. This is the crickety thing. And this is the speed at which we're oscillating right there. All right, here's the new LFO. I'm going to put it to the left of it. There we go. And we take it sine wave out, put it on FM. And this side, I'm also going to make 0.043. So one in the middle is not going to have variation. And now this knob, if I wanted to set things exactly the same, I'd copy and paste the FM amount knob from the outside one. Yeah, I'm hearing, whoa, wait a minute, this is the wrong direction. I want it left of center so that it actually only slows it down, doesn't speed it up, but it slows it down at a very slow rate of 0.043 cycles per second. In fact, this amount knob probably needs to be slightly less there. Yeah, this one is just a hair. All right, that's sounding pretty good. You can adjust to your heart's content, but in the interest of going forward, for video's sake, I am going to add a chorus. And I'm going to use the Surge XT modules. All these are free modules that I'm using. Just look them up, Surge XT, Squinky Labs, and Mind Meld. Mind Meld is all one word. I'm going to put it right below the aux section. And so we're going to take our aux 1, or aux A as they call it, and hook it up here. This is a stereo chorus, which is great. VCV also has a stereo chorus, and it sounds good. It comes with Rack 2 Pro. I have Rack 2 Pro, but I just wanted to make this video for folks, in case you don't have it. I'm going to turn up, well, here's a way I can do all of them to the same amount. I am going to put them all in a group 1. And then I'm going to use the send here for group 1. So that way they're all being sent by equal amounts. Now the one in the center is a lower level on the fader. And I have this mixer set to be post fader for the sends. You can make it pre-fader, in which case all 3 would be sent equally. But I think the shaping here is something that I do want to have affect the send level. So anyway, I sent group 1. All 3 of them are on group 1. And you see down here, we are getting some aux in there. We're not getting a lot because the mix isn't turned all the way up. Since we are using aux sends, we do have our wet-dry balance based on how much we send. So we could turn that up. And beforehand, I found a feature here. Now this chorus is for thickening. You know, I found a preset that I liked that was called Deep, because it adds a little bit of gurgle there to it. Subtly on the right-hand side. But since this is for relaxation and kind of like delicate ambience, I'm paying attention to those details. Now you can adjust some settings here. There's a rate to the modulation of the chorus. You hear that? It's adding little chirps kind of like in between them a bit. But I kind of like that. Sounds a little bit more natural. Now there's a depth adjustment here. Try it up. It makes those off-time chirps stand out more. Right about there. The right amount of subtle variation without being too much. At least in my opinion. And then here we have, delay amounts, time. There, it's adding those chirps in between a little bit more prominently by delaying them. It just helps it to sound more varied and not like just a computer exactly, doing it. Let's see, low cut on the output. Certainly don't need that. We don't have lows to cut. Do we want to cut some highs? Now those in-between chirps that were happening had some higher frequencies on them that were kind of standing out a bit. Now that I've cut them back a bit, maybe Maybe lower the delay time. That sounds better like this. There we go. It actually sounds pretty cool. Like there's other little creatures in there, adding a little bit of sound to it. And these are output levels. They sound good now. Well, the mix, I thought I turned that all the way up. And the width. Yeah. Okay, now let's add a little reverb. A lot of times I use the reverb from VCV Rack, but that's Rack 2 Pro. So that's part of the paid version. So for the interest of anybody that is not in the market to use that, Surge XT also has a decent reverb. And the Surge XT modules are pretty cool in that they have these presets on them at the top that you can try out. And a lot of times I might just select them to get close and then tweak the parameters to get it exactly how I want it. What am I doing? This goes here. There we go. All right. So let's start with, just click it open here. How about Cathedral? And let's turn up the mix all the way. There we go. Should the output level go up higher? Oh, let's look at this. Oh, we're not sending anything to it. That might be a good idea. Okay, we're getting some feedback there because it's sustaining too long, but that might be the decay time. There we go. Now it's not doing that anymore. Room size, let's try. Sounds scratchy when you turn the knob, but do it all the way. All right, low cut. I don't hear any highs that really need to be cut. Doesn't sound like it's cutting anything. I don't know. Maybe it's helping. Let's try turning up our width. All right. Pre-delay, no, we don't need any of that. Morph. Yeah, our aux is pretty low here. Maybe we should send more. I hear a sustained high pitch there. That seemed to get rid of it. Oh, but then we're not getting it. Yeah, the high cut is working. Now that pitch is right in line with our sound, so I don't hear it sustaining anymore. Okay, so that filled it up pretty nicely. Let's see, do I want a little more center? We're right about here. Okay, so I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good to me. What you might want to do, I mean, you could experiment with other choruses to see if you can get it thicker. Otherwise, you just need more oscillators. I mean, you can add maybe 2 more that would be panned. Sorry if you're hearing my cat. Inga wants out of the room. Well, we're just about done, Inga. Okay, and so we're gonna, if you wanted to, you could add 2 of these channels and have them panned like, in a 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock position. And that might help. Or even like a 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock position. Fill in a little bit more. That'd be something to try. It'll just give you a little more variation. A couple more crickets. So anyway, I thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this and are going to go out making some synthesized cricket sounds, and let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you use this on anything in the comment section, or just say hello to help keep me from feeling so lonely. But until next time, take care and stay free.